Hello.
Hello there. So, how's it going?
Tonight looks like it is Murphy's Law is ruling tonight.
Someone is calling. I guess that's you. Oh my god.
Yes, but I'm already calling.
I know. So you just have to listen to this thing going on. Or maybe it gives up. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have any plans for the winter solstice?
The winter solstice, yes. Only 2 days left. 3 days.
Yeah.
Thursday. That's great, really.
Yeah. So that's...
It will be rain, and lots of rain, and not a single snowflake anywhere.
Okay, I think up here is going to be snowing, and then we're going up to 20 degrees below zero on the 25th, I think. Yeah, something like that. So,
poor guys. So now we have spring. We have spring here again.
okay.
Or will have tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, and there will be a green and brown Christmas.
Yeah. I'm hoping to be able to use my skis for the first time up here, you know, because it's been
Okay.
since October. It's been snowing and then raining for 5 days and then snowing, so it's been like on and off, green and white, on and off. You know. So.
Okay. I like my new background much better, by the way.
Yeah.
By my new setting.
Very
my
nice.
new studio setting.
So where's the samurai sword? Is that over there?
The samurai sword, let's see. Here is my samurai sword.
Uh-huh. I thought it was on the wall behind you there. No. By the window or something.
It was.
Yeah.
Actually.
Mm.
Not on the wall, but on the shelf.
Yeah, okay.
Mm.
It's always good to have a sword in case of the trolls interfering with the video call, you know.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I know exactly where it is. I know if someone come to get me,
Yeah.
I know exactly where it is.
That's good.
And there are the threats keep up, really. They
Yeah.
don't. They are not there all the time, but they return periodically, or not so periodically.
So what kind of trouble have you been gotten yourself into lately?
Hmm?
What kind of trouble have you been provoking lately?
Stop NATO,
All right.
I guess.
Yeah.
Also a lot of stuff. Okay.
So you mean there are there people who don't want NATO to be stopped?
Oh yes, there are lots of people that don't want NATO to be stopped. That's for sure.
Okay.
We were kept out all of the local newspapers during our protest.
Yeah.
Or support demonstration last week. But we got lots of pictures and everything.
That's great.
We were the only protest outside Oslo.
All right.
I think.
Was that for the Peace Prize or something?
Pardon?
Was that connected with the Peace Prize or something in Oslo?
Oh yes, I can. It was a support demonstration for ICANN and a protest against NATO.
Yeah, and nuclear weapons, of course.
And nuclear arms in general. Yes. It was just Stop NATO, but lots of other peace organizations as well.
Yeah.
The kind of they're trying to make Norwegian peace protest rise like a phoenix from the ashes.
Oh, that's a big task. Because it's a lot of pretend peace organizations, isn't it?
Oh yeah. But it's just 14 years since the last major demonstrations, so it shouldn't be a problem.
No.
But it is so far, but we are working on it.
Yeah. Because the last time I checked, peace organizations in Norway wanted to bomb Libya and stuff, So.
Oh yes, you are. That is funny, but I'm not laughing.
It's tragic, but the irony of the.
Yes.
It's like it's like the Green Party wanting to pump oil and gas for like 15 more years, in Norway.
The Green Party took part in the demonstration, by the way.
All right.
The support demonstration for against the protest against nuclear arms and support demonstration for ICANN.
Yeah.
So it was really funny to see the Norwegian Prime Minister not applauding during the speech.
Okay.
During the ICANN speech, during the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony.
Yeah. You mean
it was very notable.
You mean the new Prime Minister, not Jens Stoltenberg, but
definitely the new.
Okay.
The new old now.
Yeah. Right-wing government.
Stoltenberg, he once again embraced Donald.
Oh, Donald, yeah. Donald Duck. So, anything else?
Not really. I've been in exile for 10 days. I had a great time writing and such, and harassed people on Twitter.
Excellent.
Everything.
Yeah.
So it's a dynamic cycle, right? The exile, the visiting town, and then back to writing, and Twitter and social media works the same way. Really. I balancing it.
Yeah.
All the time.
So you retreat to solitude, and then you go on social media.
Absolutely.
It's also a bit of irony.
I'm not really in solitude when I'm in exile either anymore. That was before the internet and before Twitter and everything. The irony, it's another ironic thing, I guess. When I'm going for solitude, I get less solitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have more solitude when I sit at the coffee shop. Really.
Absolutely.
And yes, I tend to. I sometimes get visitors there as well, but that's just as well as that I don't, because I write more when I'm sitting there alone.
Yeah.
Really. Take more notes. It's and the. Everything.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to just go to a cafe because you don't have internet on the cafe, you know, like here in Greenland.
Oh no, I deliberately don't bring any social media communication device with me when I go to town. I have no interest nor desire really to be on social media all the time. I see. I look at the people sitting there with their cell phones. 4 people around the table.
Yeah.
And they sit. All 4 of them sit and stare at the cell phones.
Yeah.
Behind their, between their knees.
Yeah. You know, here in Greenland, here in Greenland on the pubs, you know, they have a poster on the wall in the pub with a Wi-Fi symbol, and then it says, "Sorry, no Wi-Fi. Talk to your neighbor instead."
Yeah. That's much better.
Yeah,
really.
It's pretty cool. And they don't actually have. They don't actually have Wi-Fi at all either. It's just, you know, it's like you'd have to have it on your phone or something.
No, great lost. A great spooky mood in my picture.
Yeah.
Image.
You have some kind of black and white thing going on down there in the thumbnail. Have you done something to get that?
I just changed positions so I don't get over the light above my head anymore.
Because it looks almost black and white down there, you know, in the miniature picture. So
yes.
I can actually choose who. I thought this was going to be automatic, that the person talking would have the large picture, but you know, I don't know. So.
No, it isn't. I'm afraid we need to have a special program or something.
Yeah, I can just choose to have you in focus all the time, so that I don't have to be featured very much. Right. So.
It's great that we can hear and see each other on video phone, really. Even if it's still a bad quality.
Yeah. And it's also a bad replacement for actual social intercourse, I guess.
Absolutely.
It's difficult to buy you. It's difficult to buy you a beer on this platform, I think.
Yes, too bad. You need to have top equipment with it to make it look better.
Yeah.
And a special program. I started visiting Folkerøvere far more often lately.
Okay.
My earnings have picked up, so I can go there more, buy more beer.
Excellent.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And I meet a different kind of people there compared to the coffee shops, really.
It's absolutely one of my favorite places in Bergen, Folkerøvere. Yeah.
Yes, mine as well. It's one of the few. It's no wonder it's run by beer drinkers, customers, really.
Okay, yeah.
They knew what they wanted.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't want the usual run-of-the-mill pub, and it shows.
Excellent.
They have there is a great mood.
Yeah.
So to speak. I can sit there listening to Creedence Clearwater Revival and imagine that I am in New Orleans.
Yeah. And without the flooding.
Amazing.
Has Bergen ever been flooded, actually?
Oh yes, very often.
Yeah, but like, you know, for days or weeks or something?
Not this fall, no.
Oh.
There was there was a flood a month ago, I think.
Mm.
We got a massive amount of rain, more than we have ever had before, actually. So it fell 30 millimeters in just a few hours, which is enormous amount of rain.
I think Nuuk is pretty much like Bergen, you know, with the seaside climate. You know, it's pretty mild. Lots of so almost always raining or snowing. You know. So.
There has been was a short period of snow here, but it's gone again. No.
Yeah.
I prefer it that way. I stopped enjoying winter when I was 12.
You had to stop. You had to stop enjoying winter because it was no longer winter. Right?
Yeah, 6 months. We had 6 months of winter.
Yeah.
30 years ago. Now it's hardly winter at all.
Yeah. You know, it's like young people, you know, children and youth in Norway, they don't know what skis are anymore, you know. It's like because they're not used to having snow.
Not traditionally now. They go to the mountains. They have to go to the mountains to experience it.
Yeah. And, you know, in Oslo, they're building this indoor ski hall. You know, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
Where everybody used to go skiing for 8 months of the year in the northern slopes of Oslo. They're building this huge, cutting down all the trees to build an indoor ski hall. So.
Yeah, it's just a great sign of the times. No more snow.
Yeah.
On that.
And even for the opening ceremony with the prime minister, you know, the fat lady who never sings, they had to drive in the snow, you know, to have a small spot of snow for laying the ground stone or something for this ski hall. So
absolutely, it's completely ridiculous, right?
Just looking at those pictures, I got this, you know, really sad feeling. You know, yeah, it's come to this.
Denying reality is a favorite pastime of the civilized men and women. One of the most ever favorites, actually.
Yeah, which reminds me, you told me earlier this year that you'd been one of the first leaders back in the 1980s. You've been one of the very first leaders of the Green Party in Bergen.
Yeah, I think I was the second, but I'm not sure about that. But I do think I was the second in Bergen.
So, in what way was the Green Party ever a different thing back in those days?
They weren't different. They were exactly the same like they are today. Totally in denial about the unpleasant truths.
But their leader was a bit more radical. You know, I'm talking about you.
You can say that, yes. Too radical for those people, to be sure. They went to the newspapers to do a character assassination.
Yeah.
So, among other things.
So do you want to tell a story of what you said when you were a leader of the Green Party? What you said to the media back then?
I said that we had to be very much braver, much further, and that civilization had to be I didn't say exactly that, but in not so many words, I told them that civilization had to be dismantled.
Wow, yeah.
But I didn't say that. I didn't, because it took me 5-10 more years before I actually meant it passionately, that civilization needed to go. So
but you were talking about the oil industry or something, in specific terms back then?
I guess I thought about it a bit, but I didn't really. I was the one then, so I didn't really call for the ending of the oil industry. I wasn't that progressive, really.
Okay.
That's irony or ridiculous again. I wasn't. I was radical at the time, but compared to how I am now, I was just small time radical, really. So I didn't go far in my eyes, but the reaction still turned out to be massive.
So you're saying the people who chose you to be the leader of the Green Party, that didn't agree that we needed to start dismantling this form of society?
I didn't hide my opinions at all. So I guess they weren't paying attention when I was elected, I guess.
But you called for some sort of press conference or something to say these things to the TV, to NRK TV. Is that right?
I was interviewed during an election program. I was I was interviewed during the election.
Yeah.
I tried to enlist the media as usual, but failed, really. Yeah. The media the established media was just not interested in what I had to say, except when after the three members went to the press and told the press that I had gone way too far or something. Then they were very interested.
But had you gone way too far? Did you break any sort of principles in the party regulations, or
Oh no, I did. I most certainly did. I even I did have a radical program, local program, for us. In 4 parts, where we laid out the groundwork for the dismantling of civilization.
Excellent.
Once again, it wasn't the dismantling, but the result would have been the same.
Yeah.
I remember I wrote for the magazine, student magazine, Nemesis in 1996. Yeah. That was the first time I publicly went out and said that that this civilization had to go. Yeah. I was even looking forward to it. So they didn't manage to stop me from speaking out. I was just more eager to speak out after that. But I was completely exhausted. It wasn't exactly pleasant when it took place. I returned to Europe and to London totally exhausted.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was born again, so to speak.
Yeah.
there were those weeks in August 1991. They were extremely horrible, to be kind. The pressure was up all the time, and I really had no defenders either.
No.
With the Pirate Party this spring, it was different. I wasn't alone then, but I was alone.
Yeah.
In 1991.
That's often the way it is, when you're a dissident and you are slightly ahead of your time, with your thinking.
Yes, and I'm still ahead of my time, really.
Yeah.
Society and the Green Party and everyone, really, they haven't learned anything. That's the sad truth.
Yeah, how are they? How are they even going to be able to learn? They just silence people and shut people out. So it's like totally impossible for them to learn anything.
Yeah, they were very good at that in 1991 as well.
Yeah.
That's for sure. All the new information they have received since then. But they haven't changed at all. They haven't set their goals. They haven't changed their goals, their objectives at all.
I think the way the Green Party, even the Green Party Youth Division, the way they still want to pump oil and gas in Norway and the North Sea for 15 more years is a proof of what you're saying there. It's like, yeah, of course we're gonna have some, more buses and some electric cars and stuff, obviously, but we still need to pump oil and gas, and Norway has the cleanest oil industry in the world, and it's like, even in the Green Party, people are going on with crap like that. It's like, and even the youth, even the young people within the party are like, oh, we're so radical, we only want to pump oil for 15 more years, while the grown-ups want to pump oil for 20 more years. It's like they really deniers of climate change. They don't believe in global warming.
Something to be proud of, and it isn't, of course.
Yeah, I think you and I had a suggestion for the Green Party National Congress this spring to change one of the policy points in the program from, I think it was, originally it said that Norway should cease its oil and gas activity in 20 years from now, and yours and my suggestion was to change the word years to weeks to cease all oil and gas activity in 20 weeks.
Absolutely, a lot more sensible suggestion.
Yeah.
Yes. To see it mildly, but it isn't just about the oil either. It's about everything.
Yeah.
So you have to. People are grown up in a society which are totally lacking touch with reality. So it has to be like that.
Yeah.
Really. It isn't strange that people are the way they are. But it's still frustrating, of course, but it isn't strange.
Yeah.
As I said before, the anti-authoritarian people, they are better equipped to break out, to break free from the brainwashing and such.
I think maybe some of the pain that you and I are experiencing, because we've been like warning about this thing is real, it's not a hoax, global warming is not a hoax. It can somehow be compared to you know, the Semmelweis, this Austrian doctor or Swiss doctor or something. He was the guy who figured out that less mothers and newborn babies would die during giving birth if the doctors actually washed their hands, you know. So he found he didn't actually know about, you know, the exact germs and stuff that would kill mothers giving birth, because the doctors had been operating on dead corpses and stuff before they came into the the clinic. But he just he did some experiments with his students and said that everybody has to wash their hands, and then the death rate in the birth clinic went down, you know, almost immediately. But every time the professional doctors who were not his students and who didn't wash their hands came in and helped mothers give birth, they kept dying, the mothers and the kids, at the same rate as before. But of course, you know, all the doctors just hated him. Who's this guy with this new fancy theory, you know, and why should we listen to him? And they more or less, you know, ostracized him, and he actually died of guard violence. Some guards who killed him in while restraining him at some kind of mental hospital. So he had to live for like 10 years after he discovered that doctors should wash their hands. He had to live for 10 years and just see the doctors not adopting his idea of, you know, cleaning your hands before you.
I heard about them. It's a typical case of denial, of course.
Yeah. So he knew sort of why these people were dying, but he had already said you should stop doing that without washing your hands, but nobody listened. You know, it's like he was right all along, but nobody would listen to it because it changed their old ways, right? So.
Yes, it's quite comparable, absolutely. But it's far worse than that, really, too, because there isn't just one area, right? It's in all areas.
Yeah.
So the climate change denial, which is basically everywhere.
Yeah.
It isn't just Trump. It's various stages of denial.
Yeah.
Even those preaching the glory of climate change are just as much in denial as Trump was, which is really strange.
Yeah, I think that's almost the worst thing, that the Green Party you're talking about. Even they want to keep having this carbon energy industry going. Even they want people to drive individual cars, and it's like, if only you could dream, but if only the actual environmentalists were green, it would be a huge step forward.
Oh yes, if the environmentalists actually behaved like environmentalists, it would be a huge step forward. The professed environmentalists.
Yeah, so-called. Yeah.
Like so-called, yes.
Yeah.
So that would be great. Because there have always been just a few changing the world either way. But we are stumbling headlong into to call it disaster is really not strong enough.
The abyss.
Ragnarok is good term, really.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate disaster, right?
Yeah, it's quite scary actually, because you have the, the serpent Midgardsormen from Ragnarok.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been for a couple of years. I've been peddling this really dark image painted by some Swedish artist of the serpent in some northern location. Looks a bit like Norway or Greenland, and the serpent is coming, in from the ocean, in from the fjord, and rising up with his head and sort of preparing to attack a little fisher village, So it's like, I was peddling that around the internet for a couple of years, and then this June, I think, there was a permafrost failure in Greenland, north of Ilulissat, and the whole mountainside fell out into the fjord and created a huge 60-meter high tsunami or something, killing people in two different villages by the fjord in Greenland. It was like, the old myths about disaster and Ragnarok are coming true.
Come true, yes. They are clearly prophetic, that's for sure.
Yeah. And it's like when this happens, like in one area in Greenland or in the Arctic, it's like you just know that this permafrost is melting all over the Arctic, So it's like it's not going to stop there. It's just going to expand.
And the South Pole Antarctica is just exactly the same, actually. And the ice, Antarctica has 90% of all ice on Earth. So that's really it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And vice, the West Antarctic ice sheet can, if that breaks free from the mainland, it will be 6 meters.
Yeah.
In just a few weeks.
And Greenland is like 7 meters or something, is it?
It's just about the same.
Yeah.
Between 5 and 7 meters.
Yeah.
Both places. The ice and Greenland ice has the same amount of mass.
Yeah.
So, and snow ice, and snow mass.
And
so 12 meters approximately when both go, and then we have 50 more.
East Antarctic.
The rest of the ice goes.
So, what do you think about the timing of Greenland ice sheet melting compared to the Western Antarctic?
Both. They can happen simultaneously.
All right.
Or within a few years of each other, which will have the same
effect.
Effect, yes, absolutely. So it doesn't really matter.
There are also some quite interesting, teleconnections. Tele means far away, so teleconnections between sea level because of ice melting in north can immediately influence increased melt in the south, because if you raise the sea level because of northern melt, the whole global ocean is increased, and then you get further into the fjords and valleys under the ice in Antarctica. So it's like we've seen, scientists have seen in the paleo records, hundreds and thousands of years ago, that it's been a seesaw kind of pattern where the north is influencing the south and the other way.
It makes sense, of course. The effect on the Antarctica ice is immense already. It's the ice is basically gone several places.
Yeah.
That cat that survived 100 years would have no problem. That cat family that survived in 100 years would have no trouble at all surviving. No.
There was a cat family surviving in Antarctica?
With Amundsen, yes. He came with Amundsen. She came with Amundsen and had kids.
So Amundsen brought a cat to the South Pole? For real?
Yes, with a ship, I imagine. The cat wasn't part of the expedition inland, of course, but she was on the ship.
Yeah.
But she wasn't on the ship when they left.
Okay.
And they were found, her ascendants.
Yeah.
Were found in the 90s, I think.
Okay. So had they been eating penguins or something?
Yeah, nobody knows really, but there were quite a few of them. So.
Yeah, because I don't think you have any mice in Antarctica.
No, my dear, but man, it's ridiculous when Norwegian when so-called animal friends claim that cats need to be neutered, castrated, because they can't survive in nature.
Yeah.
It's completely ridiculous.
But I guess Amundsen and everyone was lucky that the cats in Antarctica didn't do as some animals in Australia, taking over the island and killing every local species. So
they weren't that adaptable, I guess.
It's a good thing that the cats in Antarctica didn't kill off all the penguins.
As I said, they weren't that adaptable. A cat is, if it had been a panther, perhaps, or a tiger.
Or a snow leopard, perhaps.
Yeah. A white tiger.
Yeah. I think you had white lions as well, in Alaska, 20,000 years ago.
Yes, and white tigers used to exist in Asia, but they don't anymore. In the Asian markets.
Yeah.
We are destroying life on Earth wholesale.
Absolutely.
It's quite funny. I'm about to write a new suggestion for a new paragraph in the Pirate Party's program.
Yeah.
About surveillance. That we, I don't think it will be adapted. It won't get enough votes, but I will try anyway. But it's quite funny, really. I would say we, quote unquote, the Pirate Party wishes to have great major limitation on surveillance. There should be few or no exceptions, except on the surveillance ward, the heart ward, on the hospitals and such.
Yeah.
And since we have, since surveillance is illegal, then I started thinking. And since surveillance is illegal, we have to, of course, have to close down, the clandestine services and such.
Yeah.
And since we close down the clandestine service, we have to close down terminate or a membership in NATO and so on.
Yeah.
So everything is connected, right?
So you found the secret way to just dismantle NATO altogether, because of some Norwegian law. All right. Well.
The domino effect, right?
Yeah.
One domino falls and all of them falls.
Yeah. Well, call me a skeptic.
That's a genius approach, really.
Yeah.
So,
but it's a bit like you have the International Court in Hague in the Netherlands, right? And they can potentially they can arrest a American general for war crimes or whatever. So the obvious reaction in America after the International Court was set up in The Hague was to create the Hague Invasion Act, which is an American law, an American act that makes it legal for American soldiers to just invade the city of Hague in the Netherlands in case of any Americans being dragged into the court.
That's why I'm not surprised.
The Hague Invasion Act, you can just Google it. So it's like it's the same thing with this. If you're a little tiny pirate party in Norway finds a way to close down the secret services and by extension NATO, they will simply just bomb Bergen again like they did in Televåg, or invade Norway. It's like problem solved. Big guys always
do that. The British though. But the British. Both the Americans and the British and the French are basically almost they compete about invading all the countries in the world. There are just four countries Britain hasn't invaded.
All right.
Among them Sweden.
All right.
Britain has invaded Norway.
I think even Sweden is debatable because you have the so-called Russian submarine crisis in the 1980s, and that was actually NATO and Western submarines pretending to be an invading force from Russia, for propaganda value.
Oh, yes, it's a funny point anyway. It's a moot point anyway.
Yeah. So. It's interesting the thing that happened in Sweden because today it's well documented, but back in the day in the 1980s you had Olof Palme and the Swedish Social Democratic Party, which was not socialists but left of center or something, and so they were running the government, but the military and the navy in Sweden, they were cooperating with these NATO military, submarine, fake Russian invasion people, right? So it was kind of a war in Swedish waters, in Swedish territory, between the Swedish Navy and the Swedish government, which is pretty extreme, I think.
Palme was a thorn in the side of the United States and NATO, no doubt.
Tell me about it.
It was quite a character.
Yeah. Of course, it's no hero. It's not really a hero to guys like you and me because he was, vigorously in favor of nuclear industry and lots of stuff like all the people from his generation were. So it was in no way.
But the power socialist, right?
Yeah, he was no environmentalist at all, So.
No, not at all. But he was very anti-American, and that was why he was shot.
Yeah, there's many theories about that, but obviously the strongest power in the world could have a hand in it, I guess.
It could have been the South Africans, of course. He was very critical but they did. Why should they just care about him? It's but Palme was against the Vietnam War, very vocal about it, and lots of other stuff too.
I think it maybe was the he wanted to basically throw the Americans out of Scandinavia, you know, to get Denmark and Norway along to have the Nordic countries as a nuclear-free zone and without any bases. Yeah. So not very popular in Washington.
One of the things we are looking into, by the way, the new Norwegian peace organization or the peace movement.
Yeah.
Oh yes, a Norwegian Scandinavian military alliance, definitely.
Yeah.
We have to solve something to people, right? I would prefer we didn't have military at all, but it would be a good tactic to hold that up as an alternative.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, a better solution to have a common Nordic defense deal than being, you know, trapped between Russia and China and America on the other side, and England, of course. England is the most aggressive country in our region. So.
And it wouldn't necessarily just be Scandinavian either. They could just as if NATO first breaks up, we could have a true European, or at least Northern European defense cooperation.
Yeah, together with St. Petersburg and you know, the Baltics
and Germany, which isn't really so far-fetched, but and Germany doesn't really have military much.
No, but they still have 50,000 U.S. occupying soldiers on their land, right? In Germany.
Absolutely.
So the Second World War never ended in Germany, actually. So I think almost all the wars that America are involved in now, they use Ramstein air base in Germany as their, you know, landing base, launching base.
Oh, yes, they do that almost. It's a very important base, just like Agligak in Turkey or something.
Yeah.
They need that for Middle Eastern operations.
Yeah. And of course, many Germans are not very happy about having such important air bases in Germany, because that makes Germany, a couple of cities in Germany, the number 1 and 2 targets for missiles in case of a real international conflict, you know, with nuclear weapons. The first thing you would take is like Wiesbaden and Ramstein, you know. So.
Yes, Italy, by the way, have 113 American bases. That's
113.
113. Yes.
And Norway can celebrate. We got the first American permanent base this year, isn't it? Right?
We will soon have dozens if we don't. If something doesn't happen soon. There will never be content, just one.
No. Yeah, that was another thing that the Americans wanted to use Sweden for. It was to use Sweden against Russia. I think they called it a solid or permanent, you know, hangar ship, you know. Like an on-ground hangar ship for launching missiles against Russia. So Palme and the Social Democrats were, again, of course, against using the whole coast of Sweden as some kind of missile launching point, because from the Swedish perspective, it's not really an ideal situation to be target number one for nuclear missiles coming in, right? So.
No, they can launch it from Estonia and further the east, of course. They don't really need Sweden.
Not today, no. But like back in the 80s and 90s, this was like different map. Yeah.
But they had a massive military exercise earlier this year, anyway, in Sweden. So.
I think I have a friend down in eastern Norway who has been. She's a widow now, but she's been looking into the emissions, carbon emissions from the world military. It's like is absolutely clear number one emitter in the world is like the U.S. imperial war machine, which is never an issue in the climate negotiations. They can just do what they want. They are kept out of any agreement.
One hangar ship is just like all other countries on Earth.
Is that right?
When it comes to spills and such.
Spills, okay, yeah. Hmm.
And release of CO2 and everything.
Yeah.
And I can't recall how many tanker ships they have, but they have at least 10.
Yeah. But I think today I read that the White House.
Carriers.
Yeah.
Call them aircraft carriers.
Yeah, that's right. I think today it was there was a news item about climate change is finally removed from the list of national security threats in America. So I think it seems the problem is solved. And that's a kind of a happy news item that we can bring in this 60 minutes broadcast.
Donald solved climate change with the stroke of the pen. Amazing.
It's excellent. Ayungelak. Yeah. So if that's correct, if climate change is a solved issue, maybe this is the last Clueless FM 60 minutes broadcast ever. What do you think?
Yeah, he is really a certifiable insane. I think I'm more and more convinced about it. But there's a lot of competition.
We could.
The rest of the American Senate and Congress is almost as crazy as he is.
Yeah.
It's amazing that we haven't had a nuclear war yet.
Yeah, you could say that, but on the other side, it's like, why would you go to nuclear war against a nation that you can cooperate about oil and gas together with? It's like the only thing Exxon wanted to do for the past decade was to cooperate with the Russians about the Arctic Sea oil and gas. So it's like why bomb your partner in the big oil industry, right?
Yeah, that's if they are rational, but they are not necessarily rational.
No.
Right? So if they had been rational, it wouldn't have been so crazy.
Yeah, but it's an interesting dilemma, because if they're, as you say, if they're really crazy, they just go and sling some nuclear bombs at each other. And if they're so-called not crazy, they will go all into the Arctic Ocean to pump oil and gas, which is also crazy, right? So it's like...
Yes, but we have seen it. The verbal attacks on Russia have picked up dramatically.
Yeah.
It's obvious that they are planning that they are planning stuff.
Yeah, but they've been planning stuff since day one. You know, that's sort of the job of the military, is to plan for every kind of contingency, you know, every kind of scenario.
Oh yes, but the attacks on the Soviet Union were never so bad as today, as it is at Russia, from Russia today, really.
Mm.
It's far more, you should think, based on that Russia is far more dangerous than the Soviet Union ever was.
You know, I refused to do military service, but I think I've learned, like, since that decision, you know, in the early 90s, I learned that, you know, peacetime or peace or business as usual is actually, you know, equally crazy, equally insane as war. You know, war is like visually more extreme and more bombs and explosions going off and killing people like immediately. But the business as usual, peaceful, so-called peaceful human activity that Homo saps are doing every day, that's really extreme, because it's like they're not leaving anything, any living thing on Earth is not left in peace by the so-called peaceful business as usual everyday life that we're doing. Like driving your kids to the fucking kindergarten is like destroying the planet, right?
But that's because humanity declared war on nature 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And they haven't let up since. So.
With agriculture. But I think it's fair to say that back then, 10,000 years ago, there was no way for people back then to tell that this would end up.
Oh no, they couldn't imagine.
No. It's like people even today in America and Europe and Norway are denying the effects of carbon emissions, right? So how on earth would
and everything else?
Yeah.
The effect on nature and destruction. Us as the sixth extinction event and so on.
I think I've seen definitions. There are different definitions of the Anthropocene and the sixth extinction event. With some people starting that period with the killing off of the mammoths, you know, with the extinction of the mammoth 10,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago. So it's like, and the other side of the spectrum is people like saying that it started in the 1950s or something. But yeah, I guess it's
started with civilization.
Yeah.
10,000 years. That's good.
And then there are other authors, other writers who claim that agriculture actually, you know, took off or started in earnest because we had killed off all the megafauna. We had killed off all the big game.
There were about 5 million people, human beings on Earth 10,000 years ago. And that was at least 1 million too much, too many. So that's why they by default started killing the megafauna.
Yeah.
And a lot of other stuff too.
But I think the point of these writers was that they had to start, you know, growing the vegetables and growing the grain and corn and stuff because they had emptied the megafauna or the big game in their areas.
Yeah, it makes sense that they didn't have the game to hunt anymore, at least not sufficient amounts.
Yeah.
Of
so more and more people would go over into agriculture, but there will still, of course, be hunters and fishers around. And it's also interesting that in the transition phase to agricultural societies, these hunters and mountain people, forest people, they would actually storm the farmer villages every autumn and take all their harvest, right?
Yes.
And go around fishing and hunting the rest of the year, and just go down and pick the harvest from the farmers when I was ready. So it's like, yeah, an interesting phase of human history, I think.
Yeah, but it's a progressive. It's a progression, right? Just like global warming, self progressive process. The more people, the less prey, and the more agriculture, and even more people. And that's the insanity we have today.
Yeah.
Humanity at the time grew too powerful, grew too skilled.
Yeah. We're just too clever for this planet, I guess.
Yes, they were too clever for themselves. It's slow suicide.
Yeah.
Really. Collective suicide.
Yeah, it's a bit like, the early people who tried to make humans fly, to develop aircraft and hang gliders or whatever. Lots of the early attempts at human flight ended actually with death at the bottom of the cliff, people jumping off the cliff with some kind of flying equipment that was supposed to fly. Yeah. So I've some years ago I've compared agriculture and civilization as some kind of bad idea. I compared it to having some kind of plastic wings or something and jumping off a cliff, and because it's not sustainable, they won't keep you up in the air for very long. So the difference between having some kind of stupid children toy wings and jumping off the cliff and starting with agriculture is that it takes 10,000 years before you hit the damn ground, and die. So
unavoidable process.
Yeah, it's a clear consequence of burning the forest and cleaning the vegetation in order to grow some kind of grains. So the consequence of lording it to all of nature and to take over a whole landscape just for human purposes is that we wipe out ourselves and most of the larger species of plant and animals. But it takes a long
time, but we are getting there now.
Yeah, clearly. Do you have any concept of the time? Do you have any concept of the time we've been going now? Because I forgot to start my clock.
Let's see. We have an hour. No, 6 minutes.
Is it? We have to round off.
Yes.
So maybe you want to take like 2 or 3 minutes to give your message to the Twitter and YouTube planet.
Yeah, it's you need to be truly human again. That's simple, really. Not the way we have pretended to be the last 10,000 years. We need to be like we were, more or less 10, 15,000 years ago. We need to be far. There need to be far less of us. As I said, 5 million people were too much. A million at least too much. Of course, there are a lot. The Earth as it is today can't sustain 4 million people either, because all the game is, most of the game is gone, and it will take many thousands of years before it recovers. It will take millions of years before life on Earth in general recovers. So, as I said in my one of my blog articles, to have any sort of optimism on behalf of humanity's immediate future is just stupid. It's insane.
Yeah. But it was an interesting experiment, right? For 10,000 years.
Well, we know now, but will we remember? Will we remember forever? Of course, civilization can't recover, right? All the minerals is gone from the soil, and a lot of other stuff we used as well is gone. So the oil in the topsoil is gone. All the metals. So we need to use rocks after a while.
Yeah.
The swords can last a couple of 100 years, but they will go away. Everything will go away sooner or later, and then we will have just rocks. Of course, building a stone house is is the most lasting alternative too.
Yeah, the stone houses built by Vikings on Greenland are still standing. You know, like half the buildings are still standing this day. Yeah. So
they don't just last a lifetime; they last many human lifetimes.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to build stone houses.
Okay.
It's funny. The current wood houses just hardly last 10 years.
Yeah, we've seen that in America, in Western America, with this wildfire season this year.
Yes, it's really funny to see all the rich people lose their homes. Of course, they have money to build anywhere. So.
I think with that we will say happy solstice, happy winter solstice, and you and I will meet, and we and the listeners will meet back again in January, if all goes well.
Yep, the new year.
The new year. The year we conquer NATO. Okay.
Yes.
Take care, Amos. See you.
Bye.